In this chapter, we will learn about life in medieval towns. We'll learn about different types of medical needs, diseases, crime and punishment, home life, all those good things. But let's start with the growth of medieval towns. In the ancient world, town life was well established, particularly in Greece and Rome. Ancient towns were busy trading centers. But after the collapse of the Roman Empire in the West, trade with the East suffered, and town life declined. In the early Middle Ages, most people in Western Europe lived in scattered communities in the countryside. By the High Middle Ages, towns were growing again. One reason for their growth was improvements in agriculture. Farmers were clearing forests and adopting better farming methods, which resulted in a surplus of crops for them to sell in town markets. And because of these surpluses, not everyone had to farm to feed themselves. Another reason for the growth of towns was the revival of trade. Seaport towns such as Genoa in Italy served as a trading center for goods from the Middle East and Asia. Within Europe, merchants would often transported goods by river, and many towns grew up near these waterways. So this is very important because as you notice, there's not too many red lines, land routes, but there's a lot of purple lines here, meaning water routes. Notice all these cities are popping up near bodies of water. You could also see it in this map, which you saw before. Notice like a city like Hamburg develops on a river. London is both river and close to the North Sea. Paris on a river, Orleans. We have Genoa, Rome, Lisbon. So cities will develop near bodies of water. Many merchants who sold their wares in towns became permanent residents. So did people practicing various trades. Some towns grew wealthier because local people specialized in making specific types of goods. For example, towns in Flanders, which is present-day Belgium and Netherlands, were known for their fine woolen cloth. Meanwhile, workers in the Italian city of Venice produced glass, and this is what this picture is of. Other towns built their wealth on the banking industry that grew up to help people trade more easily. At the beginning of the Middle Ages, towns were generally part of the domain of a feudal lord, as you can see here, whether a monarch, a noble, or high-ranking church official. As towns grew wealthier, town dwellers began to resent the lord's feudal rights and his demand for taxes. Boo, taxes. They felt they no longer needed the lord's protection or his interference. So they're getting annoyed that they're being asked of so much money from their lord, and they're not really getting anything out of it. In some places, such as northern France and Italy, violence erupted as towns struggled to become independent. In other places, such as England and parts of France, the change was more peaceful. Many towns became independent by purchasing a royal charter, and that is seen here. So a charter it's a written grant of rights and privileges by a ruler or government to a community, class of people, or organization. So now these lords were passing on their duties of leading the town to the people who really were involved, like a town council. Free towns were often governed by a mayor or a town council. Power gradually shifted from feudal lords to the rising class of merchants and craftspeople. And that is the end of section 1.